Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about failed projects or quote-unquote scammy projects. So let's dive right into it. Now first you have to understand what exactly makes a project a failure or a scam. First thing, it has to fail to meet the expectation. Basically think of it this way, you bought a car that's supposed to give you 20 kilometers per liter and it does everything well, like it drives well, it has good handling character, but it only gives you 5. That would be failed expectations, and expectations are always set by the seller of the project. So at that point in time, you are not at fault. Like it's not like you are expecting too much. Like you told me that it is going to do that, so you are at fault. So at that point in time, that project would be classified as a failure. Another aspect, it fails to happen on time. For example, let's say you invest in a company and that company is like, we're gonna bring our product to market for, let's say, 5 years time, and it happens on 15th year. Yeah, market would have changed so much that you would be very lucky to make any profit at that point in time. So time is also a very crucial aspect, and many times we kind of ignore time aspect. It's like, oh no, it happens. No, time is something that is very serious, and many times, especially in construction project, you could have a scenario where you started a big project to improve that area, and that project itself could end up destroying the area, simply because if a project is going on for let's say in your backyard for, let's say, 7 years, you're gonna leave that house if you can do that. And many people have done that. This is a common thing in major cities, where it's like, this metro station will open here, the project started, and people simply got fed up, especially if they are rich people. They're like, dude, I can't take this stress every day, bye. So you have to be very mindful. Time is also a very severe asset. And backfiring. Now backfiring, thankfully they have very few examples, but some of them are really bad. For example, space shuttle. Backfiring simply means it made situation worse. Think of it this way: if NASA was simply like, hey, let's only make Saturn 5, or try to make Saturn 5 cheaper, or make something like Saturn 6 which is a bit cheaper, they would have gotten a simply safer system, where if something goes boom, astronauts could have been escaped away very easily, and it had the capacity to put 150 ton in low Earth orbit. Basically ISS would have been built in like 5 or 6 modules, the end. So but compared to that, they tried this. The selling point was like, this is supposed to be cheap, this is supposed to be safer, this is supposed to be efficient, everything is awesome. But the reality was, it was the worst space manned vehicle ever built. So reality is like, it made things worse. Like it was so bad that it crippled NASA to a point. NASA went from, we have the ability to send people to the moon, to like, we don't have any ability to send people to ISS, and we have to go to Russia for, like, bro, please send our astronaut to ISS. So that would be backfiring. That's like, no, it would have been better if you have not done that. That's backfiring. Cost overrun for no gain. For example, you're like, buy this car rather than this car, and this car will save you money, or this car will give you more performance. But you bought this, and at that point it's like, dude, it does not do anything better. Like it's like same top speed, same handling correction. It's like exactly same thing. You just paid more for some branding and all that jazz. So that sometimes can go balloon out of proportions, and bad things have happened because of that. And end of useful alternatives. That is very harmful to long-term sustainability. Think of this way: let's say you, a government, instead of making multiple small successful projects, they started to bank on something like a scammy, and outcome of that, because money is a consumable, you consume the money, there is no coming back. There is no like, okay, just ask government for more money. That comes from your tax. Government does not have infinite money. So that point in time, end of useful alternatives would have occurred. It was like, okay, I burned the money, I burned the time, I cannot do anything alternative, simply because I do no longer have anything left. So there are some serious drawback of a scam or failure projects. Now, what are the dangers? Like, what is the worst thing that could happen to you? Well, waste of money, that is simply obvious, because you do not have infinite amount of. Waste of time, no amount of money can buy time. So that's another aspect. Poisoning the well. Now, this is where it becomes very dangerous, specifically from scam projects. Think of it this way: let's say a government having good intention got scammed. What will happen to the public? It's like, dude, you burnt millions of dollars on this project. It never turned out. We no longer have enough money to build even a backup project, simply because you burnt millions of money. And not to mention, we don't even have time. So that will be poisoning the well. For example, James Webb Telescope is classified as that. Why? Simply because while NASA was building one major project, they had multiple smaller projects that were like, just let's say satellite number 3, satellite number 5. Things are like, they already know how to do it. Just make current gen, like, or launch more satellites or something. There were many basically astrophysics based equipments that were low budget, nothing fancy, nothing but common. Like, they have multiple of that. Those were cut. Like, that was the first sign that James Webb Telescope is gonna consume way too much money. It's like, though NASA slowly started to axe them. It's like, okay, this small project, nope. This small project, nope. This small project, nope. And that happened. Like, there was an article, I think in 2012 or something like that. It's like a James Webb telescope that ate astrophysics. So Reality is, you have to understand that that poisoning of the well is very crucial, because it destroys everything else. Basically, it's not just that you are ruining yourself, you are ruining everything attached to you, everything that is even remotely physically close to you. That is fundamentally dangerous. And jaded public, now this is the most hideous aspect of scams, is that people get jaded. Now you have to understand, I made recently a video about clock of long now, basically a 10,000 year clock, and I specified that people are losing hope. Like in back our old days, as in like 1990s, people are looking forward to, like, hey, 2000 we're gonna have amazing technology in 2000. No, we no longer say that. We no longer say like, yo, in 2020 we're gonna have amazing thing, 2010 we're gonna have amazing, 2030 we're gonna have amazing. We are not no longer looking forward, because we lost hope. And loss of hope means everybody gives up, and everybody gives up. Even the things that are manageable, handleable, like, again, not super easy but manageable, becomes unmanageable. For example, global warming, it's manageable, we can handle it, it will take time, it will be painful, but we got this. Now if everybody loses hope, then it's like, oh, the world is gonna end, we can't do anything about it, and that only makes things worse. So that's the worst aspect, the people aspect, that people ignore. It's like every time a scam green technology happens, it harms the people, it harms the ability for people to like take care of things. Like, dude, we could have done this, it would have saved a lot of things. Nope, scammed. So dangers of scam projects are horrifying, especially in long term. In short term, you're like, who cares? In long term, you're like, dude, why the heck people are not investing on something that could save them? They may be just burnt many times. So these are serious consequences. Now, what are the symptoms that you are going, rather than a failed project? Sometimes failed project happens because, like, again, something bad happens. We are human, we are not gods. But sometimes scams have very obvious signs which you should able to see. And I have made this mistake personally, like trying to back a project that I was like, I should have seen that this was a fake project or a scam project. For example, the first symptom, that's the moment you detect this symptom, you should apply handbrake and you're like, okay, I'm gonna be out of this vehicle. Too good to be true. That's your first line of defense. The moment any project, it's like, for example, Hyperloop, it's like, we're gonna be faster than aircrafts. Okay, we're gonna be safer than aircraft. Okay, we're gonna be cheaper than aircraft. Handbrake, I'm out. That should be your first response. Too good to be true. Handbrake, I'm out. Second, it can get into mass production now. Now this is the aspect that many people are not aware of, that in lab almost everything works. In lab we have sulfur ion battery, in labs we have sulfate battery, in lab we have this battery, in lab we have that battery. Here's none of them you can buy, simply because none of them make to mass production. Mass production is the step which kills most of the project. It's like, you have this technology, mass production, zero. Hundreds of times that happens. For example, I'll give you a very good example. This is like how you know that if somebody is selling that part, like, we can just mass produce it tomorrow. You should just, like, pull the handbrake, detach your seat belt, I'm out. Like, get the ejection seat to get out. Is simply because, think of it this way, Elon Musk, Tesla company, bought a company, Maxwell, and they were making dry electrode technology. It works. They have patent on it and they have proven that that puppy works, but that's a lab technology. When Elon Musk bought that, they started to mass produce that. Here's the, they went through 5-6 iterations, and only then they are like, maybe this will work at full speed at this point in time, and flat out they are telling that it will take even more, like around a year or 2 years, to polish them to a point where, like, okay, now it works at mass speed. So mass production kills 99.99% of things. And if somebody says that mass production, oh dude, we're gonna YOLO it, run. Another aspect, like, that's how somebody is gonna scam you. It's gonna change the world overnight. It's like, whoa, world is saved, everything is taken care of. Now if you have lived long enough, you have seen things like Facebook. Did Facebook happen overnight? No. Did YouTube happen overnight? No. Did Netflix have overnight? Heck, half of the people in my audience, I am not sure whether they know the fact or not, that Netflix used to send DVDs through envelopes. That was their business model. Things take time, it never happens overnight. Heck, and invention of plastic took years, sometimes even a whole century before it became the plastic that we know today. It takes time. Lead acid battery takes time. Lithium ion battery takes time. So if somebody comes and like, dude, we're gonna do this and tomorrow the world is changed, man, run, freaking run. That should be your first indication that somebody is trolling you. Another aspect, this is very good for engineering firm's point of view. This is the easiest way you can, because sometimes people will try to sell you these things by using big mumbo jumbo word, and you may not have like enough of a dictionary where, like, dude, I do not know what quantum entanglement truly means or something like that. Okay, I can, heck, I don't understand half of those things, but it's like, how the heck you make sure that you are not being scammed? Ask them for the drawback. Now at this point in time, 100% of scam will fail, simply because everything that is true, everything that is real, every project that is absolute, everything that works will have drawbacks. You ask the engineers, like, bro, for example, I have recently made a video about compressors. It's like, why don't we use scroll compressor versus this piston compressor? They will tell you scroll compressors are awesome, but they have much more friction point compared to piston compressor that has very few piston pressure. I'm saying basically roller compressor, a rolling piston compressor that has much lower friction point. It's like awesome, but now you will ask them, hey, what's the side effect of that piston? They'll say it's not suited for large scale operation. See, everything in engineering will have pros and cons, everything fundamentally. So that's how you filter out fanboys, that's how you filter out logical people. What are the drawbacks? The moment they can not tell you any drawback, you run. It's like there will always be a drawback. No matter what you do, no matter what you build, if it follows the laws of reality, it will have drawback. Question is, what is it? It's like, if they are honest about it, they will tell you, okay, we can do this, but it has this kind of consequences. And generally they will try to sell you, it's super simple, man, it's just easy, man. Like, for example, there are some companies that are trying to make some weird battery technology, and it's like, it's just you know, we take this metal and we heat this up to 300 degrees Celsius and it just works. What? Like, that's not how things work. The moment somebody is like trying to make something super complex simple, you're like, what the heck, that should not happen. For example, there is this video and animation going around where they're gonna take the weight, pull it up to charge it, and drop it down to discharge it. That's like energy storage, and it can work for very large scale. Awesome. They even showed a physical demo, a real thing. But here's the deal, the final animation is like multiple like, you know, multi-story building and doing all this very quickly. Here's the deal, it is making something very complex look very easy. That should be your first sign. How can I say? Simply because ask anybody who does any crane work, or look any, like, you know, tall tower crane working. There is very heartbreaking, like horrifying, so to say. It's like these wet, once you actually pull them, like even a concrete slab or something like that, it starts to sway in wind. And this animation, they were like, wee, wee, wee. That never works. That's why, like, if somebody is talking about falling weight and they are doing it open air, run. Like, it can only work if it's inside a, let's say, like a mine shaft where there is no air, so you know for a fact. And if something bad happens, let's say earthquake, it's gonna only damage inside. So that's the whole thing. If it's too simple, you're like, dude, you should have already done it if it's that simple. And it just works. They try to have that Apple kind of envelope. It's like how you open your AirPod, it automatically pairs it up. It just works, man. It's simple. It just works. So these are the symptoms. Like, and not to mention, not every scam will have every single symptoms, but they will have few. First, the foremost, most of the time that will you know, protect you is too good to be true. Another aspect, mass production is like, oh, dude, we're gonna mass produce this puppy tomorrow, man. You just wait, run. And it's gonna change the world overnight. These three things are the first hallmark of scam, and I'm guaranteed you every scam you have ever seen will have two of these. Now, let's look at a very painful example. And I was stupid enough to believe in this. I was stupid enough to back this thing. So what does that mean? Solar Roadway. Now, original Solar Roadway was Solar freaking Roadway. Now it was a scam, 100% scam. Now, the problem is that people believed in that scam. What does that mean? That means some idiot in France decided, hey, let's actually burn taxpayer money to build an actual road of millions of dollars. What happened after that? Thankfully, that project is 4 years old, so we have the actual proof. It did not work. It had to be redone multiple times in first few months, and then they had the project failed. 100% failure. Not even 1% success. 100% failure. It's like nobody thought, what if we have solar panel and we parked a car over it? Amazing. Like, it's like solar panel does not even need sun to work. It's like, did nobody thought? It's like, we have gonna have car parked on top of it. It's useless. It's like, and not to mention, glass is fragile, transparent materials are fragile, and somehow we're gonna have a freaking trucks running on top of it, and it's gonna be like awesome, like really? And not to mention, it's not even angled, it cannot even have tracking. Like, who the heck came up with that idea? And again, look at the original Solar freaking Roadway. That's how they were saying it's gonna change the world, it's gonna be mass produced, it's gonna be like scam, too good to be true. And consequence of that, because media attention got into this, the good options, like for example, what if you have a parking lot and you have a shade and that are solar? Amazing. Imagine it this way, you are saving energy by actually having cars in the shade so they don't heat up, and the moment any individual goes into the car, they don't have to like pump their AC at full power, saving petrol. And then you have a solar shade that is working unobstructed. They do not have car parked on top of it, so actually work, cheap, easy, robust, long-living cells that have 25-year lifespan, and they can easily be quote-unquote grid tie, so that you don't even have to buy battery and you can sell megawatts of electricity. Many people have already doing that, but because this does not get media attention, people burn money on this. And I have just recently realized that some Americans tried to do this. And apparently somebody in Mumbai is also doing this. I don't even want to look that up. It's like too painful. I don't even want to look that up. So that happens. It's like people are still burning money. They're like, here's $1 billion, let's burn it. It's like you can only go to Solar Roadway once you can guarantee everyone, dude, every single rooftop that can have solar already have solar panels. It's like you go to road once you have exploited every single surface. And here's the fun fact: if we humans, all the rooftop that can actually support solar panel, we actually did that, will have surplus electricity today. Like surplus electricity today with current manufacturing costs. Like that's why every Tom, Dick and Harry is making solar farms. It's much more economical. Like if every rooftop, every places where we can do that can be done, like we will have more than enough electricity. We're like, dude, electricity is not an issue. At that point, only issue will be how do you connect like two parts of the globe where it's like, you know, the daytime energy is dumped into the night side. That would be the only issue. Like we have to build very long high voltage DC lines. So that's the whole point. Solar Roadway was really, really bad and billions of dollars continuously burnt. Then we come to Theranos. The idea was too good to be true. Little blood test that can do it all. Like blood tests, we learned the hard way that we have to do it thoroughly and we have to be extra sure, simply because you cannot go to an individual, specifically anybody who is dealing with serious illness. Hey, let's take another vial of blood. No, that's serious strain on human body. You do not want to be just draining blood. So people realized very early on, learned the hard way. A lot of people lost their life. It's like where it's like, dude, take once but take enough. Where it's like it's okay if you are taking a bit more, but you never want to be in a scenario where you have to drain a person again. So we learned the hard way, and the more tests we want to do, the more blood we're gonna consume. That's like fundamental, known, everybody figured it out. Every country's and national agency where they are dealing with medical technologies, they figured it out. Every corporation that is building this, they figured it out. It's like, it's a done thing. We figured it out. We got this. Now, can we improve? Absolutely, we are improving. But going from, let's say, 50-60 milliliters to, let's say, 1 milliliter is like, whoa, too good to be true. And thankfully or unthankfully, more than enough people fall for this sociopath. And mind-bogglingly, even though there were people, like there was the most amazing story. It was like a son was telling his grandpa, it's like, grandpa, she's scamming you. And she's like, no. It's like, that's really, really painful. Like this amazing technology is gonna do every single blood test known to man, like 200 tests known to man it's gonna do. And once FDA actually did the raid, they figured out this puppy can barely do 10 to 20, and not to mention most of them would be inaccurate. Why they will be inaccurate? Simply because that's the reason we need a lot of blood to do blood tests. So that was the whole point. It was too good to be true. And even though the people figured it out, it's like, too good to be true, man. Like, you know, it's gonna change the world. And like the amount of psychopaths that she displayed on screen, that was like, whoa. Like, you know, nobody has to say goodbye too early. That was like, wow. Fundamentally, like, wow. The amount of money lost is around $9 billion. That is insane amount of money wasted on this. To give you a context, only thing I can think that can exceed this $9 billion of evaluation, that would be, for example, let's say Hyperloop. I am pretty sure that will cross $10-20 billion of scam point. So what we can expect in the future? Well, one thing you have to understand, there is a lot of failure behind success. Like that you have to understand. Like you're gonna fail hundreds of times before you get anything successful. However, scam is not the part of it. That is one thing you have to know. That's why I made this whole video. Make sure you are never scammed. Like if things fail, you will learn from them. If you are scammed, you will not learn from it. You will just be burnt. And that is really bad for humanity, because humanity needs a lot of hope. And we are losing hope very rapidly. So we have to take care of this scenario. Like that's the whole point of me making this video. We have to take care of this. And one thing you have to apply, caution is advisable. Just think. It's like, if this person is saying that in 1 month we're gonna take this and actually make it mass produced, just wait for 1 month. Just relax. Don't invest psychologically too much into it, because that will burn you. Just relax. It's like, okay, we'll see you. It's like if somebody says, let's say Elon Musk says, hey, we're gonna land on Mars in 2018, you're gonna like, okay, we're gonna see you in 2018. 2020, not landed yet. So that's the whole point. Caution. Like apply some disciplines. Apply. Like calm down, relax. Don't invest emotionally too much into things, and just walk with caution, so to say. And wisdom is in patience, fundamentally speaking. Patience is your best friend. Specifically things that are like too quick, you're like, dude, you will live long enough to see it. Like for example, that 2018 mark, and like everybody's claiming 2024 he's gonna do that. I'm like, I've already placed a bet on it and I'm gonna win. So fundamentally, patience is always your friend. Apply it wisely. No issue. Just relax. calm down, and don't trust a name. That should be your first thing. That's how Theranos got so big. It was like, that was the first mind like genius part of her. It was, she was hiring people based on their name. Like, dude, you have a name in Pentagon, come here. Dude, you have a name in Silicon Valley, come here. Dude, you have a name in let's say medical technology, come here. That was like, she was selling the name, not the technology. If she had the technology, she was like, dude, look at the technology. For example, I'll give you the comparison with this versus Hyperloop. Elon Musk had this idea and he makes everything works. No, that's a wrong. For example, compare that a data point to his battery day. In his battery day, he was never talking about like himself. He was like, dude, we have this battery, it does not have tabs, tabless design, awesome. We bought this another company that has dry electrode technology, we're gonna make batteries much quicker, much faster because of that. Technology should be sold, never the name. The moment somebody is selling the name, out. If somebody says like, this battery is made by the founder of a battery who manufactured, never ever in name. Never in the name, no matter how good they are. If name is being sold, run. Because if it's truly awesome, they're gonna sell you, this is the amazing technology, bro, you're gonna beg me to buy this. So that's the whole point. Failure is a part of life, you have to understand that, but caution will help you to prevent being scammed. And every time you're being prevented from scam, that will help preserve you. Basically, the more jaded you become, the more burnt out you become, the more hopeless you become. And the more hopeless you become, it's like, dude, what difference anything will make? And the moment that humanity takes that stance, everything that is solvable becomes unsolvable, and let alone any problem that we currently cannot solve, we will not even try. So fundamentally, this is a critical thing. Do not buy on the name. Apply patience, caution is advised, and understand failure is part of it. And so do not be become hopeless on like, a fake scam project and all that. Just like, apply some brakes. It will save you heart, fundamentally speaking. So this was my presentation on basically failed projects or scam projects. I hope you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.